Most NBA fans have never heard the name Dink Pate. That's about to change. While the basketball world was focused on blockbuster trades and superstar drama, the New York Knicks quietly made a move that could reshape their entire future. They didn't just sign another G League prospect. They acquired the rights to a player who rewrote the rulebook on what it means to be young and hungry in professional basketball. At 19 years old, Pate has already accomplished something that puts him in the history books. But here's what makes this story truly fascinating. The path he took to get there reads like something out of a basketball fever dream. Picture this scenario. You're 17 years old, dominating high school basketball in West Dallas, averaging over 20 points a game as a senior. College scouts are circling like hawks. The traditional path is laid out in front of you. 4 years of college ball, maybe a championship run, then declare for the draft when you're ready. Dink Pate looked at that path and said, nah. Instead, he made a decision that stunned the basketball community. He walked away from his final year of high school and jumped straight into professional basketball with a G League Ignite. Not at 18 like most prospects do, at 17. This move made him the youngest professional basketball player in United States history, surpassing even Scoot Henderson's record. Think about what that means for a second. While his classmates were worried about prom and graduation ceremonies, Pate was suiting up against grown men who had been grinding in professional basketball for years. The audacity of that move tells you everything you need to know about his mentality. The Ignite program was supposed to be his launching pad to NBA stardom. He spent his season there, learning the professional game, facing elite competition night after night. The numbers weren't spectacular, 8 points and 3.5 assists per game, but scouts were intrigued by his 6'8" frame combined with genuine point guard skills. Then the rug got pulled out from under him. The NBA shut down the Ignite program entirely. Most prospects would panic. Pate, he found a different route. While other players scrambled to figure out their next move, he signed with the Mexico City Capitanes. Not exactly the glamorous basketball destination most American prospects dream about, but Pate saw opportunity where others saw a setback. And this is where the Knicks enter the picture in the most interesting way possible. Fast forward to this summer. The Knicks are building something special in Manhattan. They've got their stars, they've got their system, but championship teams are built on depth and future assets. Leon Rose and the front office have been playing chess while everyone else plays checkers. The Knicks officially signed Pate to an Exhibit 10 contract, but that was just the opening move. In August, the Westchester Knicks acquired the returning player rights to Dink Pate from the Mexico City Capitanes in exchange for the returning player rights to Boo Buie. On the surface, this looks like typical G League roster shuffling. Dig deeper, and you'll see why this move is brilliant. The Knicks didn't just sign a prospect, they orchestrated a complex series of transactions to secure a player they believe has legitimate NBA upside. That's not the kind of effort you put in for a throwaway signing. Here's what makes Pate genuinely intriguing as a basketball prospect. He's a 6'8" guard who can legitimately run an offense, something that's incredibly rare in today's NBA. Most players his size are forwards trying to add guard skills. Pate is the opposite, a natural point guard who happens to have the height advantage of a wing player. He's described as having a downhill style of play and being a creative finisher in the lane. Tough to stop once he gets ahead of steam, and using his length and body control to score against bigger players. But here's the fascinating part. His weaknesses in the game are exactly the kind that NBA development programs excel at fixing. His efficiency numbers need work, particularly his shot selection and finishing ability, but those are correctable issues when you have NBA-level coaching and training facilities. The foundation is there. The size, the court vision, the basketball IQ, those are the things you can't teach. Everything else? That's what G League development is designed for. Here's an angle that most people are missing entirely. Pate's time with Mexico City positioned him to potentially become the first player drafted out of Mexico, which would be historically significant for basketball's global expansion. The NBA has been pushing international growth for decades, but it's mostly been a one-way street. American players going overseas or international players coming to America. Pate represents something different. An American player who chose to develop his game in a non-traditional market and could now bring that experience back to the NBA. That kind of cultural bridge building is exactly what the league values in the modern era. Players who understand basketball is a global game have advantages that go beyond what shows up in box scores. Think about where the Knicks are as an organization right now. They've built a competitive core, but they're also thinking long-term. Pate will spend the upcoming season in the G League with the Westchester Knicks as part of his Exhibit 10 contract, with the possibility of earning a bonus if he stays with the organization.
This gives them an entire season to evaluate his development without any pressure. If he shows significant improvement, they can convert him to a two-way deal. If he struggles, they haven't lost anything significant.
But here's what's really smart about the timing. Pate is still just 19 years old. Most rookies entering the NBA are already 21 or 22. The Knicks are getting a prospect with 2 extra years of development runway, plus professional experience that most college players don't have. Here's a detail that most people glossed over. Pate became one of the first athletes to sign with Reebok under Shaquille O'Neal's and Allen Iverson's brand revival. That's not a coincidence. Major shoe companies don't invest in players they don't believe in. The fact that Reebok chose Pate as one of their cornerstone signings for their basketball relaunch tells you that people with serious money see something special in his potential. When shoe companies start betting on a player this early, it usually means they have access to scouting reports and analytics that suggest significant upside. The Knicks likely factored this external validation into their decision-making process. The Knicks aren't just collecting prospects randomly. Every move they make fits into a larger organizational philosophy about finding undervalued talent and developing it within their system. Pate represents the perfect example of this approach. He's a player with legitimate NBA tools who fell through the cracks because his college stats don't exist and his G League numbers weren't eye-popping. But the Knicks saw past the surface-level concerns and identified the underlying talent. That's exactly the kind of organizational thinking that separates championship contenders from mediocre franchises. Here's what makes this signing even more interesting from a strategic standpoint. The structure of Pate's Exhibit 10 contract gives him financial incentive to stay with the Westchester Knicks for at least 60 consecutive days, which means the organization has a built-in evaluation period. During those 60 days, they'll get to see how he responds to NBA-level coaching, how he adapts to their defensive schemes, and whether he can improve the efficiency issues that plagued him in Mexico City. If the improvement is significant, they have multiple pathways to keep him in the organization long-term. If it's not, they can move on without any meaningful financial commitment. That's smart roster construction. They're not gambling big money on potential. They're investing time and development resources in a calculated way. What people don't fully appreciate is how rare it is for a player to take Pate's specific path to the NBA. Most international prospects come through established pipelines. Most American prospects follow traditional college or academy routes. Pate created his own path entirely. He left high school early, played professionally as a teenager, adapted to international basketball, and now he's positioning himself for NBA opportunities through pure basketball merit. That kind of self-determination and adaptability is exactly what NBA teams value in the modern era. Players who can thrive in unfamiliar environments tend to have longer, more successful careers. Here's the bottom line that most people are missing. The Knicks just acquired a 19-year-old with legitimate NBA size and skills for essentially nothing more than roster flexibility and development time. If Pate reaches even 70% of his potential ceiling, this becomes one of the smartest moves in recent Knicks history. If he doesn't pan out, they haven't sacrificed anything meaningful. But there's another layer to consider. The Knicks have built a culture and development program that maximizes player potential. Look at how they've helped other young players exceed expectations through their system. Pate is walking into an organization that knows how to develop talent, with coaching staff that understands international basketball and resources that most G League prospects never get access to. The combination of his raw talent and their development infrastructure could create something special. If Pate succeeds with the Knicks, it changes how NBA teams think about prospect evaluation entirely. It proves that non-traditional paths to professional basketball can produce NBA-caliber talent. That could open doors for other players who don't fit the standard mold, creating more opportunities for international development and alternative routes to the league. The Knicks aren't just signing a player, they're potentially validating an entirely different approach to basketball development. The next 12 months will tell us everything we need to know about whether this move was genius or just another long shot that didn't pan out. But here's what we know for certain. Dink Pate has already proven he's willing to bet on himself in situations where most people would play it safe. The Knicks have shown they're willing to think creatively about talent acquisition. When you combine a player with that mindset and an organization with that approach, interesting things tend to happen. The kid from West Dallas who rewrote the rules about professional basketball development is about to find out if his unconventional journey leads to the ultimate destination. And the Knicks are about to discover whether their faith in potential over production will pay off in the most meaningful way possible. Either way, this story is just getting started. And that might be the most exciting part of all.